And hit it. That doesn't give you chills, nothing will.
You're going to win again.
How about this?
You're going to win big. You're going to win bigger than ever. And to prove that point, here with us tonight is a group of winners who just made the entire nation proud.
The hockey team.
The men's gold medal Olympic hockey team. Come on in.
Standing. This is last night. State of the Union. Here they come. Gold medals dangling around their neck. There's Hellboy. The Hughes. Everybody's there. Yeah. USA. All right. Keep going. Holy crap. Look at this. They're all beaming and smiling. The only people not smiling, the only people not partaking, the only people in that whole place not happy are the Democrats. The leftist Democrats are miserable, and it is what I voted for. That means something, people. That means something.
And now, from a secret location outside of Hooker, Oklahoma, nestled in our DEFCON 1 priority bunker, safely ensconced hundreds of feet below the fruited plains where America grows her amber waves. Articulating profundities with humor and perspicacity seldom heard between these purple mountains' majesty. It's the Jay Thomas Show, with your humble host, Jay Thomas.
I'm so humble. Thank you, Alex. Thank you very much, sir. I am humble, damn it. I've been up since 5, so don't mess with me, man. Oh, this... I don't say this much. I don't think I've ever said it. The State of the Union last night was just incredible. It was great. It was great, Cece. Yeah, I know. I think maybe Reagan, since Reagan, but it had, it's usually just platitudes. Okay. And just platitudes and blah, 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 and yada, yada, yada. And, we're doing okay. And whatever Biden did the last time, man, that was like, he was on like some kind of horse tranquilizer. Him and his 45 minutes of, God, it was disgusting. And blaming people and he's just angry and mad. Trump came off and he pulled it off. He did really well. So let's go down point by point. Hold 1 second. We're back. So let's go down point by point of what the Sotu, the State of the Union, was last night. Okay, so he starts off he starts off the one big beautiful bill, the economy and taxes, and the tariffs, and he's going on about the one big beautiful bill. He hit the tax cuts, the manufacturing and trade, what he's doing with the tariffs. He really didn't hit the Supreme Court that much, which is fine. They do what they do. So he goes on for that, and then he hits the Immigration and Border Security, the Save America Act, ending sanctuary cities, which the Democrats said, no, we don't want to do that. Border enforcement, they didn't clap at that. They didn't clap at any of this. They didn't clap at the tax cuts. They didn't clap at manufacturing and trade coming back. Manufacturing coming back, one big beautiful bill. They just sat on their hands. Save America Act, nope, nothing. Ending sanctuary city, definitely not. Border enforcement, they don't care. They never did care. Democrats are like that. Then we went to the health initiatives to make America healthy again. And Kennedy is actually doing a pretty good job. I mean, he's trying to attack it on a couple sides. First of all, we got to stop eating donuts every 2 seconds. And Big Macs. And Big Macs made of donuts. We have to stop that. We have to start eating better. Okay, so I don't know. I love Big Macs made with donuts. I love that. But we have to start eating better. And I've done that myself, and I've actually had a lot of good luck with it. I'm amazed that just changing a few things in my diet did. So they're doing that. Then there's that's the combating chronic diseases. Okay, I mean these are things that are straining the health budgets. These are things making people less. How many times you go to a store and there's like 42 fat women on the little scooters going around getting their ho-hos? I'm there every day. I'm like, why the hell, lady? Push the ho-hos away. But they won't. Okay, healthcare costs. I thought O'Bastard and the O'Bastard care fixed that, didn't he? Didn't Nancy Pelosi, as I can remember this, on Christmas Eve, just a decade or so ago, told us that we had to pass the O'Bastard Care Act to find out what was in it. They wouldn't even tell us what was in it. And remember, it wasn't a tax. So they passed the the Affordable Care Act, the O'Bastard Care, and then everybody's like, look, this isn't going to work. Ben, I know what I said. What? Ben Carson said to Obama's face, you're screwing up our health care. You're screwing up our health care system. Said it to his face during a prayer breakfast. That's why I loved him. I was like, I'm voting for this guy. And, I mean, that was supposed to be fixed by the Democrats. Well, it wasn't. It got worse. And now you're bitching about that, and then you're like, well, the Democrats are better on health care. They're the ones that destroyed it, you dumbasses. I'm sorry. Asses is not bad either. Look it up. It's in the Bible. So that's the point. Healthcare costs are out of control because exactly what they did. And they wouldn't let you look at it. They wouldn't let you look. Do you know? Did you know what was in it? No. And it got to the Supreme Court, and guess who was in charge of rewriting the law? John Roberts. That's right. Supreme Court Justice Roberts. They set it up there saying, no, this is not a tax. We're not going to call it a tax. This is healthcare reform, man. This is not a tax. And so it got to the Supreme Court, and Roberts went, oh, yeah. Yeah, it's a tax, man. We got to call it a tax. And he rewrote. He said, no, this is a tax. We're going to rewrite the law for you so it passes our scrutiny. And he rewrote it. He said, no, it's a tax, and you have a right to tax anybody, anything you want. Tax the air, tax anything. You guys are great. That's what he said, and he sent it back, and now here we are, stuck with what? High health care costs. Duh. Idiots. Anyway, so, and then he goes on to politics and voter ID, all this other stuff. Then he had this stand-up moment. Hold on, let me get this up. Here we go. Okay, so Trump, being Trump, this is why I wanted to. I was hoping he would do this, and he did. he gets on there and he says, look, he is bashing Minnesota like crazy, and that crazy woman's she's going nuts. But anyway, he gets to a certain point and he says, look, I'm going to do this. I'll let him talk. All right, let's go with that.
One of the great things about the State of the Union is how it gives Americans the chance to see clearly what their representatives really believe. So tonight I'm inviting every legislator to join with my administration in reaffirming a fundamental principle.
Fundamental.
If you agree with this statement, then stand up and show your support. The first duty of the American government is to protect American citizens, not illegal aliens.
Guess who didn't stand up? I'm looking at it right now. Guess who just sat there on their fat asses? The Democrats. The Democrats won't even stand up and say, yes, we're not going to clap, but we're going to stand up. We are for the American citizen. They wouldn't even do that because, you're icky poo. We need new citizens who will vote for us. That's what the Democrats are for. The Democrats are for replacing you. Don't doubt me. They are scumbags, and this is part of it. And so I'm watching this, and I'm thinking, why do they like this? But it goes on. It goes on. So Trump, after that, a little bit after that, Trump's looking at him, and they're not standing up. So he says this. This is awesome. Listen to this.
Look, nobody stands up. These people are crazy. I'm telling you, they're crazy.
Cameron cuts to Rokana. He's sort of laughing about it. They are. They're nuts. They're crazy. The Democrats, the leftists in this country are nuts. And they're not happy. They're not happy about the hockey team coming in. And they just can't clap at that. They can't do it. They're not happy about that. They're not happy about Trump at all. They're not happy about being there. They hate us. They love some foreign people that they don't even know. They're nuts. So it dawned on me. I've seen this somewhere before. I've seen an explanation for this somewhere before, and I couldn't put my finger on it. And I'm watching this, and I'm sort of laughing and stuff. And I'm getting a kick out of it because it's just tearing apart the Democrats. So of course that makes me happy. And for some reason, I remember, like years ago, I read Ted Kaczynski's The Unibomber. You know him as the Unibomber, CC. Ted Kazcynski, I know you know who he is. Well, you watch the Netflix, but you've never read his manifesto, have you? No, I didn't think so. Well, get ready. Get ready, folks. You know who Ted Kazcynski was, right? I mean, you know how he got into a cabin in the woods, don't you? You don't know? We'll go on that in a little bit. Okay, well, here is Industrial Society and Its Future. This is written by Ted Kazcynski, 1995. Now, he wrote this years before. He just dated it 95 because that's when he mailed it. He mailed it into the yeah. What do you think? He had a computer in that shack? No, he used the United States Post Office. Put a stamp on it. Yeah, well, they didn't. It wasn't as ubiquitous as it was back then, but you know that he mailed it, and he had been writing it for years. He'd been researching it for even longer. He knew what he was talking about. Now, the introduction goes on to say that the Industrial Revolution's been harmful. Yes, we know. It says a lot of things that are obvious. the Industrial Revolution has a price. You have good things and bad things about it. Sometimes you give up certain things to have certain things. You know, there's a great line or a great scene in what was it? I can't think of the movie name, but it was it's a movie about Inherit the Wind. That's what it was. It was Inherit the Wind, and he says, God sometimes looks down and says, you can learn to fly like the birds, but your clouds are going to smell like gasoline. You give up some things, and you get something in return. So, anyway, here it is. This is the industrial society in its future. Now, the first part is an introduction. It just introduces you. Now, the second part of this, there's 5 paragraphs in the first introduction, and it goes over what he thinks. The next part, the next section, is the psychology of the modern leftism. He can't go 6 paragraphs without going to say, this is why we're screwed up. Are you ready? Buckle up, Buttercup, because here we go. This is paragraph 6. Almost everyone will agree that we live in a deeply troubled society. One of the most widespread manifestations of this craziness of our world is leftism. So a discussion of the psychology of leftism can serve as an introduction to the discussion of the problems of modern society in general. Man, he was a smart guy. Number 7. But what is leftism? During the first half of the 20th century, leftism could have been practically identified with socialism. Today, the movement is fragmented, and it is not clear who can properly be called a leftist because they're all insane. When we speak of leftists in this article, we have in mind mainly socialists, collectivists, quote unquote, politically correct types, feminists, gay and disability activists, animal rights activists, and the like. But not everyone who is associated with one of these movements is a leftist. What we are trying to get at in discussing leftism is not much movement or an ideology as a psychological type, rather a collection of related types. All right, so it's not a psychological or ideological type. It's a collection. It's the collection as a whole of these people. Thus, what we mean by leftism will emerge more clearly in the course of our discussion of leftist psychology. Also, see paragraphs 227 through 230. It's just a long thing, and we'll get to that later on, too. Paragraph 8. Even so, our conception of leftism will remain a good deal less clear than we would wish, but there doesn't seem to be any remedy for this because they're all nuts. Again, that's me. All we are trying to do here is indicate in a rough and approximate way the 2 psychological tendencies that we believe are the main driving force of modern leftism. We by no means claim to be telling the whole truth about leftists' psychology. Also, our discussion is meant to apply to modern leftism only. We leave open the question of the extent to which our discussion could be applied back in the 19th and early 20th centuries. Okay, so number 9. The 2 psychological tendencies of underlying modern leftism we call, quote, feelings of inferiority, unquote, and, quote, over-socialization, unquote. Feelings of inferiority are characteristics of modern leftists as a whole. While over-socialization is characteristic only of a certain segment of modern leftism, but this segment is highly influential. Who do you think they're talking about? He nails it, man. He nails it. He was one. That's why he nails it. Okay. And section 3 is feelings of inferiority. Paragraph 10. By feelings of inferiority, we mean not only inferiority feelings in the strict sense, but a whole spectrum of related traits. Low self-esteem, feelings of powerlessness, depressive tendencies, defeatism, guilt, self-hatred, etc. Listen to any leftist. He nails it. Any leftist. Remember the girl that we had on the other day? The failed male. The failed the failed male the failed male trans man. Anyway, so she hates herself. Okay, we go on. We argue that modern leftists tend to have some such feelings, possibly more or less repressed, and that these feelings are decisive in determining the direction of modern leftism. This is in the 90s, folks. The 90s, 80s and 90s. This is how long this has been going on. 11, paragraph 11. When someone interprets as derogatory, let me start over. When someone interprets as what, it should be what someone interprets as derogatory almost anything that is said about him or about groups with whom he identifies, we conclude he has an inferiority feelings or low self-esteem. And hold on. You gotta keep these. This tendency is pronounced among minority rights activists, whether or not they belong to the minority group to whose rights they defend. So leftists do this all the time. White liberal women defending Somali or black violent criminals, the people defending rocks and fish and trees. You know, they can't talk back. They can't tell you what they want. But they have if you say anything bad about them, oh, then you must be a racist or a treeist or a fishist or whatever. I go on. They are hypersensitive about the words used to designate minorities and about anything that is said concerning minorities. The terms Negro, Oriental, handicapped, or chick for an African, an Asian, a disabled person, or a woman originally had no derogatory connotation. That is true. United Negro College Fund. When I've gone through all phases. I've gone through Negro. I've gone through Black Power. I've gone through, and now we're in African American for some reason. But this is the point, isn't it? So it changes. There's no set target. We'll get to that in a little bit. Okay. Broad and chick were merely the feminine equivalents of guy, dude, or fellow. The negative connotations have been attached to these terms by the activists themselves. Nobody else. Some animal rights activists have gone so far as to reject the word pet. That's how you get furry mamas and stuff like this. And insist on replacement by animal companion. Leftish anthropologists go to great lengths to avoid saying anything about primitive peoples that could conceivably be interpreted as negative. They want to replace the word primitive by non-literature. They seem almost paranoid about saying anything that might suggest that the primitive culture is inferior to our own. Now, Ted here goes a little, he doesn't want to get in trouble with the primitive people or anybody else. So he puts in there, we do not mean to imply that primitive cultures are inferior to ours. We merely point out that hypersensitivity of leftish anthropologists. Okay. 12, paragraph 12. Those who are most sensitive about politically incorrect terminology are not the average black ghetto dweller, Asian immigrant, abused woman, or disabled person, but a minority of activists, many of whom do not even belong to the oppressed group, but come from privileged strata of society. Awfuls, right? So what is that? You have to the white women. Yeah, the white female. the affluent. Is it awful? The affluent female. The affluent white female liberal urban dweller. That's the awful. Yeah, just aggravating. Yeah, they don't belong to those groups, so they're going to go out there. Rebecca Good, she doesn't belong to any of these groups, but she's going to go out there and put her life on the line, and she gets yeeted, and what happens? Well, that's what happens when you get in the way. But you have to do that because you're stupid. You're insane. Okay, so political correctness has its stronghold among university professors. Exactly. Who have secure employment with comfortable salaries, the majority of whom are heterosexual white males from middle to upper middle class families. Exactly. That's exactly who pushes this shit. I'm sorry. I know I have broken Lent many times, CC, but you can't expect me to be perfect. I know. 13. Many leftists have intense identification with the problems of groups that have an image of being weak: women, defeated American Indians, repellent homosexuals. Wow, he said that? Hold on, I gotta get my glasses here. Oh, he did. Repellent homosexuals or otherwise inferior. Yeah, okay. This is 1995, folks. The leftists themselves feel that these groups are inferior. They would never admit to themselves that they have such feelings, but it's precisely because they do see these groups as inferior that they identify with their problems. Again, he qualifies this. We do not mean to suggest that women, Indians, etc., are inferior. We're only making the point about leftist psychology. He doesn't want to get in trouble with those repellent homosexuals, let me tell you that. 14. Feminists are desperately anxious to prove that women are as strong and as capable as men. Clearly, they are nagged. Okay. They are nagged by a fear that women may not be strong as capable as men. 15. Leftists tend to hate anything that it has an image of being strong. Listen to this. Good and successful. They hate America. They hate Western civilization. They hate white males. They hate rationality. The reasons the leftists give for hating the West, etc., clearly do not correspond with their real motives. They say they hate the West because it is warlike, imperialistic, sexist, ethnocentric, and so forth, and so on. But where these same faults appear in socialist countries or in primitive cultures, the leftist finds excuses for them. Or at best, he grudgingly admits that they exist, whereas he enthusiastically points out and often greatly exaggerates these faults that where they appear in the Western civilization, the best civilization on the earth. Thus, it is clear that these faults are not the leftist's real motive for hating America and the West. He hates America and the West because they are strong and successful, and exactly right. And that's why these guys are. This is why these asshole Democrats are. Let me go. This is why these asshole Democrats are sitting on their hands and their fat asses, because they hate this country and they hate you. I digress. Here we go. Words like self-confidence, self-reliance, initiative, enterprise, optimism, etc. play little role in the liberal and leftist vocabulary. The leftist is anti-individualistic, pro-collectivist. He wants society to solve everyone's problems for them and satisfy everyone's needs. Take care of them. He is not the sort of person who has an inner sense of confidence and in his ability to solve his own problems and to satisfy his own needs. The leftist is antagonistic to the concept of competition because deep inside he feels like a loser, and that's exactly right. They are losers. They're all losers. Just look at him. Look at him. Look at Adam Schiff. What a loser that guy is. And they vote for him. The other losers vote for him. So when you feel strong, when you feel confident, when you feel you can do things, you're not going to vote for Adam Schiff. You're not going to vote for these assholes. 17. Art forms that appeal to modern leftish, yeah, let's use that word, leftish. Intellectuals tend to focus on sordidness, defeat, and despair, or else they may take an orgiastic tone. Wow, really? Throwing off rational control as if there were no hope of accomplishing anything through rational calculation, and all that was left was to immerse oneself in the sensation of the moment. Wow. I mean, it just goes on like this. Page and page, page after page. I'm going to do one more. 18. Modern leftish philosophers, damn it, tend to dismiss reason, science, and objective reality, and to insist that everything is culturally relative. It is true that one can ask serious questions about the foundations of scientific knowledge and about how, if at all, the concept of an objective reality can be defended. But it is obvious that modern leftist philosophers are not simply cool-headed logicians systematically analyzing the foundations of knowledge. They are deeply involved in emotionally in their attack on truth and reality. They attack these concepts because their own psychological needs. For one thing, their attack is an outlet for hostility, and to the extent that it is successful, it satisfies their drive for power. That's what they want. They want power. They don't want anything else. More importantly, the leftists hate science and rationality because they classify certain beliefs as true, i.e., successful and superior, and other beliefs as false, i.e., that is, failed and inferior. The leftist feelings of inferiority run so deep that he cannot tolerate any classification of some things as successful or superior, and other things as failed or inferior. This also underlines the rejection of many leftists of the concept of mental illness and the utility of IQ tests. Leftists are antagonistic to genetic explanations of human abilities or behavior because such explanations tend to make some persons appear superior or inferior to others. Leftists prefer to give society the credit or blame for the individual's ability to, or lack of it. Thus, if a person is inferior, it's not his fault, it's society's, because he has not been brought up properly. I could go on. It just goes on like this for a long time. And he nails leftists, he nails Democrats perfectly. Everything you see that these people are doing, everything you see is because they are depressed. They hate you. They hate this country. They hate themselves. That's why they are like this. it is no mean feat. I mean, this is no mean feat. To read this, it's 50. It's a lot. He went on and on and on, and it comes down to their hatred of themselves, what they think of themselves, and it goes outward into the crowds that they draw, that they get power from each other. They have to be part. It goes on in here saying that they have to be part of a larger group, that they are part of this group, and this group gives them the strength. So when they are all in their little bubble in New York City, they think they're God. They think they're great, but they're not. They're just self-hating assholes who cannot stand it when you are better. I look at these hockey players. I played hockey when I was a kid. We were out there on the ice. I'm not a frickin' hockey player like these guys. They kick my ass. I am in awe of them. When I was lifting weights, when I was a weightlifter, I was in awe of Arnold Schwarzenegger. He was like somebody you want to be. You went, wow, this guy he really looks good. That's what I was a gym rat for a long time. And, I looked at these people and I admire them. I want to be them. I don't hate them. Well, Arnold's gone a little bit weird. But anyway, that's not the point. If you now see, who else could tie Ted Kazcynski, the State of the Union, our great hockey team, and liberals all together in one show in 36 minutes? Who could do that? Me. That's it. We're going to come back later on. There's still things to do. But it wouldn't stop itching at my brain. I'm like, where have I seen this? Why is this so, why was this, it just seems so familiar. Why is this so familiar to me? I couldn't reach back into the clouds of my brain and come up with it. And I thought, you know what, didn't Ted Kazcynski say something about this? And I thought maybe he said like, maybe a couple paragraphs or something back, just tickled my brain. Yeah, he said something about leftists. I'll have to go back and read that. I looked it up this morning while my daughter was out there skating around, and I'm like, oh my God, this is it. I know, Cece. You have to read it. It's long and involved. And again, Ted Kazcynski was 16. He goes to Harvard. He was a very intelligent guy. And he was 16. He goes to Harvard, and this crazy psychiatrist at Harvard, a psychologist at Harvard, his name was Murray, I think. And he gets him in the MK Ultra program. Yeah, that's true. That part of it's true. He gets in the MK Ultra, and he breaks him. He just breaks this kid. This kid was, he was a wonder kind. He was a wonder kid. And he goes to Harvard, and this snotty leftist asshole psychiatrist or psychologist didn't like him, I guess, and he just picked him out to destroy. They didn't tell him what they were doing. And here's the MK Ultra program. Yeah. Look that up. And you'll see. Anyway, this is part of his program, and he goes to Michigan, becomes a math professor at Michigan, and then he disappears. He becomes, he becomes Ted Kazcynski in a cabin in the woods. He disappears. He goes, I give up. I can't. He's hanging around too many leftists. He went nuts. You get nuts when you hang around them. That's why I'm nuts. I am telling you, look, I'm not building bombs yet. What? Yeah, well, no, that's why I swear. They drive me to swear. And this is why he went crazy. He was around these people. And he noticed. Now, what he does is he takes the industrial society and he writes some fairly obvious things about it. I mean, and it's good and it's bad. It's not a brilliant. It's not a brilliant manifesto, but I'm going to tell you something. He has some points here about leftists. It's just like, yeah, he gets it. Well, he's a broken clock. He's correct twice a day. Poor guy. Well, they drove him nuts. That's what happened. They drove him nuts, people. So, all right, listen, this 40 minutes of your time of your life, but isn't that interesting? Huh? Come on, give it up. All right, we'll be back later. I don't know. I should do some more of this, but it goes on page after page. It gets pretty dense, but this part, how can you argue with that? That's exactly what happened, right in the middle. Right, it's right in your face. I don't know. All right, people, we love you. We'll be back.